Hello, everyone. This is Written in the Stars, and today, in Building My Zodiac Sign based fantasy world, we are again looking at the flora and fauna as well as the natural resources. This time, we are going to look at the water sign continent. My considerations will be the biomes that I have already picked for the different zodiac signs, as well as the natural meanings of the zodiac signs themselves. A general theme for the water sign continents will be its abundance of aquatic animals and plants. There might also be a lot of compassionate animals and animals that will be considered as family members, especially in the sign of Cancer. On the Cancer continent, we will find a lot of domesticated animals, as well as animals that can be found in seas, rivers, and lakes. There may be a lot of protective animals and mothering animals, as well as nocturnal animals due to Cancer's association with the moon. Night dwelling insects such as moths or fireflies, but also the wolf spider, which takes their babies everywhere, might be a possibility. Birds might be owls or nightingales, also hummingbirds, which craft nets with spider silk for their babies. Frogs are also some creatures which hunt at night, and alligators carry their babies around in their jaws. For night creatures, for the mammals, we have night monkeys or bats or even raccoons and hedgehogs and wolves because of their caring nature towards their young. For some nocturnal fish, we have catfish, and for mothering fish, we have orcas, which take lifelong care of their male children, and also mouth brooding fish. And I think orcas technically are a fish, but I'm just gonna use it as synonym for everything underwater. Moving on to the plants, of course, we also have some nocturnal plants, such as moonflower. We have plants by seas, rivers, and lakes, such as cattails or weeping willows, and of course, underwater plants, such as kelp, seagrass, or algae. And for the natural resources, we of course have seafood. We might have salt from salt water. We might have sand on the shores from which they can eventually create glass. And we also have water energy through which they can later on develop electricity, and they may also develop sea travel. They might have moonstone as the counterpart of the sunstone for Leo, which can hold the moonlight. And we have also pearls and corals for jewelry. For Scorpio, we have some transformative animals, maybe such as beasts like werewolves. We could have cave-dwelling animals. We could have hybrid animals, which I base on the a thing called Exquisite Corpse, which was a game played by surrealists where they started drawing and then they handed around the paper and everyone drew something. I think we could have something similar with animals where the animals are basically a mashup of different beasts and creatures, and then there's really this kind of beast created. And then, of course, we also have swamp, marsh, and polar animals. We could have some water-dwelling reptiles. We could have very defensive, stinging, and poisonous animals. Also, some animals that exist solely in black, white, or gray. And we could also have some lonesome, withdrawn animals. Here I am thinking of insects such as scorpions, praying mantises, cave-dwelling spiders, mosquitoes, or snow fleas, which can withstand a lot of cold. Then for birds, we have ravens, crows, and maybe even cave swiftlets, which live in caves. For reptiles, we could have things such as the poison dart frog or alligators. For mammals, we could have creatures like bats, wolves, black panthers, Arctic foxes, or Arctic wolves. And for fish, we could have things like piranhas, sharks, or squids. For the plants, we could have flowers and other plants that grow in marshes, swamps, and taiga. We could have poisonous, carnivorous flowers such as the Venus flytraps or lily of the valley. We could also have plants that are associated with death, the afterlife, or loss and grief. There's such a thing as the corpse flower, which apparently smells very, very bad, as if there is a corpse inside. And we could also have some flowers which can cause transformation, or flowers that themselves transform from one thing into another. I think the main difference with the transformative animals and plants when compared to the shape-shifting animals in Gemini would be that Gemini could willingly transform and shapeshift, whereas for Scorpio, it might be triggered by intense emotions and trauma, and it just would be triggered rather than be chosen. Then for Scorpio, for its natural resources, we could have a lot of poisons and antidotes. We could have some protective stones. We could have black and white stones, bloodstone maybe, where the stones are kind of used in magic rituals. And we could also have some sources of hidden magic. For Pisces, I'm thinking of spiritual or otherworldly animals that do not look like they come from Earth. They could look like deep sea creatures, or they could also be like albino animals. The animals would maybe be very compassionate also. And we could also have transparent animals or really elegant and flowy animals. For insects, I'm thinking of things such as dragonflies, moths, or there's even a glass-winged butterfly where parts of the wing are transparent. For birds, I'm thinking such as swans, herons, ravens, maybe a albino raven. And for reptiles, there's such a thing called a glass frog, a dragon lizard, or even the axolotl would also be great. For mammals, I think deer and phoenix foxes look very elegant and a little mysterious. I think for Pisces, it would be best to like mash up the animals and invent a lot of new ones and have them become like ghost-like and seem very unreal and ethereal. And for fish, I'm thinking such as lanternfish, jellyfish. There's such a thing called the Dumbo octopus, which has like these cute little ears and it looks just adorable. There's also a thing called Venus girdle sea jelly, which I don't think it's necessarily a fish, but it looks like these kind of tendrils floating around in water. And I think having something like this, which is sentient in Pisces, could also be really interesting. And also, sea dragons look very beautiful, very otherworldly. They could also be an option. For the plants, again, we would have very otherworldly plants like ghost orchids or African starfish flower, even like fern, everything that's like wispy and flowing and elegant, I think would be a great option for Pisces and also like underwater, like seagrass floating with the water, but have it like not be green but white and maybe very muted pastel could also work. And for the natural resources, I'm thinking of a lot of otherworldly resources where they're maybe swept up on the shores of the islands and the people do not know where they are coming from. Then pearls and shimmering gemstones. At one point, they might use water energy, so like using water to gain electricity. And there's also the mystical fog, which can bring which can bring visions. This is it for the flora and fauna of the water continents. Let me know in the comments if you liked it And if you like the whole video, you could also leave it a like. And if you want to follow me on this world building journey, you can, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch the previous video where I looked at the flora and fauna of the air sign continents, you can do so now by clicking on the video.